Last time we ended with a problem statement challenge. Problem statement is so critical. We have to make sure we are solving the right problem. A problem well defined is a problem half solved. This is a saying I truly believe and most entrepreneurs understand. Let's go over a sample problem statement. I'm going to use one of the startup company me and my wife created together. It's called The Taste of Taiwan. We have two specific problem statements we try to validate. The first one is Singapore Chinese consumers do not have easy access to quality Taiwanese snack. We believe this is a problem because most Singaporean Chinese have a strong connection to Chinese culture, and we believe that Taiwan as a continuation of Chinese culture is a natural connection. The second problem statement we have is Singaporean Chinese consumers do not trust snack from China. This is an assumption because Chinese food has had a lot of quality issues, safety issues, and some of the Singaporean people we talk to they will categorically will not buy product from China. So we believe this is another problem. And the third problem is the heart of our endeavor, that Singaporean consumer wants novel but familiar snack. So they want something they can culturally relate, but they are new. So we have three essential problem statements. First one, it's too hard to get Chinese snack. Second, people don't want Chinese snack from China. And the third one, they want something that's familiar to them, taste-wise, but also interesting and new. So these are the three problem statements we come up with just out of our head. And in the business plan, you probably came up with a problem statement in the very similar way. These are a series of assumptions that we have to test to make sure that we're trying to solve the right problem. So these are three problem statements. How do we proceed from here? From your problem statement, let us ask a few interesting questions. These are questions that should come to any person's mind when you tell them the problem you're trying to solve. For example, question about consumer habits, competition, interest level, and substitutes. Using the Taste of Taiwan example, we're trying to solve the problem that Taiwanese snacks are not easily available in Singapore. This is an assumption. Okay, question. How big is the snack market in Singapore? We don't know. We need to find out. Two, what are the common snacks in Singapore? If the common snacks in Singapore are European and Taiwanese snack company have tried and failed, that's something we need to understand and learn. What are the indications that Taiwanese food are popular in Singapore? This could be very simple, as looking up the number of new restaurants open up in Singapore. And four, who sells Taiwanese snacks in Singapore? Who are the competition? And what is the retail markup? So these are simple, fairly simple questions that come to your mind right away when you propose a problem you're trying to solve. And these are going to be some very critical to your business planning. The retail markup will affect both the pricing of your product and the cost structure. So these are problem with long and complex implications that you need to understand right away. These are questions investor, business plan judges will ask you when they hear about your problem statement, because these are just common questions. So you want to make sure you understand. And a lot of time pitching this problem statement to a classmate, a friend, people back home, they will ask, these are the perfect questions you want because you want these kind of questions. This is going to guide you on your research. Last session we talked about consumer, but specifically user and customer, people who use your product and people who pay for your product. Very different. How do we go about understanding the difference between user and consumer, and why do we need to do this? We need to do this because you need to understand who is your customer, who will pay for your product, and who is your user, how will they use it. The connection between these two persona in your value chain will determine how you sell. Okay. What we want to do is we want to use a very powerful but simple tool called persona. Persona is a summary of a person, a character in your value chain. There may be multiple persona in your value chain between you and your end consumer. Taste of Taiwan is a snack of the month club. So every month we mail the snack to people who buys it, but they may not be the one who finally consumes it. One scenario we have is this would be a subscription a adult child purchase for their aging parents, where the parents can enjoy quality snacks, but they're also familiar and they're not from China. So the end user could be the parent, and the consumer would be the child. So these are two different personas. So we need to figure out how to market to them what they want, what they need. For the sake of simplicity, I'm going to do one persona example using a real-life case we actually had. A persona is a summary of your conversation with a potential customer or an ideal customer. You want to give them a name and a title. A name doesn't have to be a real name. It's just a name that you can quickly refer to. So if your market segment deals with a teenager, it could be Brittany. And the title would be a supposed category. A teenager, you can be goth, which is one type of teenager lifestyle, demographic, worldview. Could be preppy. These are shorthand you use to communicate within your team. Okay. Second, biographical basic. These are things you want to know about them, how old they are, their family background, relevant information to your service. Third is professional and personal background. This, in the case of teenagers, is not applicable, but for professional, you want to know what kind of job they do, what's their educational background, what kind of professional society they belong to. And this is the fourth one that's interesting, it's called quote. These are the things they say very often when they face this problem. In the case of the teenager, if their problem you're trying to solve is telephone accessory, their most common quote, Brittany's most common quote could be, they don't have the accessory in my color. They don't have accessory color that matches my outfit, car. So the quote is their most common verbal reaction to the problem. This is something you want to understand about your consumer. Their technical background. This is more relevant for web services. If your consumer are tech savvy, means as a teenager, Brittany could have everything from a smartphone, email, Google document, everything, Facebook, MySpace, everything, and Twitter. What if, in the previous example, my end user is a 65-year-old Chinese Singaporean grandmother who do not use anything beyond text messaging? This is something you need to know, because this is one way you will reach them. The next one is their favorite website or / publication, depending on the appropriateness of your product. But these persona has been developed mostly for web services. So this is their favorite way to interact with the world. And their goals. What is their goal pertaining to the use of this product? Lastly, the I want, I need statement. This is another verbalization of how they feel, what they want this product or service to deliver for them. I know this sounds a bit abstract, but let's use the example. You will understand how powerful this really is. Hello, everybody. Please meet Susan. Susan is one of the actual consumer profile we have. The title for her is Desperate Housewives of Singapore. It's not the one we use internally, but this is one of the, it shows you, it clearly communicates what she wants. Okay, her professional background, she's an office manager and she has to drive the company car quite often. Personal background, she's married, mother of one. She's Chinese, but she speaks English, Mandarin, and Fujianese. She travels outside Singapore once a year. This is important for us because we're trying to introduce a foreign stamp. And she's been to Taiwan twice. Her favorite places in Taiwan are Jiufen and night market. So this is clearly someone who has an interest in food and who's been to Taiwan. But this makes me wonder, should we target Singapore who has been to Taiwan? And if they have not been to Taiwan, how does this affect our product, which is the taste of Taiwan? It's very specific. So these are the questions we begin to ask ourselves once we assemble the persona. Next one, the quote. Taiwanese food are so much nicer than Singaporean food. So that's what they want. She is specifically looking for quality. Okay. Her technical background, she used Facebook, SMS. She has email, but that's not primarily how she likes to communicate. But that has strong implication for an email campaign. And she doesn't do much e-commerce. And she does have an iPhone. So these are the things you begin to get a feel for. Her favorite websites are Facebook, Yahoo, and there's a website called Ms. Tomchak, which is a foodie blog for Singapore and travelers. So these already give me really good insight into how I want to reach her. And I challenge you to think of ways how you feel you can reach her too. Her goal is to try new food, which is not bad. The I want statement gets a little bit strange. Her needs and want statement, what she said was, I want to share food with my family and co-workers. So this is interesting because originally we assume she wants this for herself because she won't try new food. So, but what she told us, she wants to share this with her family and co-worker. So this also tells me something. The sample we sent what we send her every month have to have a certain quantity restriction. From one 15-minute conversation with a person, we already got a vast amount of information. But why do we need persona? It's very simple. You need multiple persona to make sure you're really solving a problem. So this is just one persona. In the course of the week, the more persona you can do, the more specifically you can understand what kind of evidence you have that this problem is worth solving. And persona is a simple way but powerful way of getting that information. I hope you have a chance to use it, because this will give you a lot of information, especially when you present your business plan. You can say, we have actually talked to a real person, and these are their responses. And based on this response, we devise the solution. So persona, try it. It's actually very simple. If you're too afraid to talk to people who might have this problem, the business plan is going to lack a lot of credibility. And that's what I want you guys to do. Be as credible as you can and collect high quality information. Now you have done your research. Now it's time to funnel all those horrible research results into a funnel. We need to distill two different products from the research. First, we need a SWOT analysis. This should be a very familiar diagram for you. Strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. This is when you analyze the problem space through what you propose to do. And this can be done for your organization or for the competition. I think where we are, before we devise the solution, let us use the SWOT on a dominant competitive model. For Taste of Taiwan, the SWOT, the object of our SWOT analysis is the retail model. The distribution of food through retail space in shopping mall. So I would analyze the strength, the weakness, the opportunity, and the threat of the mall model before I design my own product. Once I design my own service, I will also do the same. So from the SWOT diagram of the existing model, we can understand where they're strong and where they're weak. And this is how we devise the next step of our analysis, the positioning diagram. The positioning diagram is a two-axis analysis of all the competitors in the same problem space. In every single diagram, it should look like this. All the competitors on this side, you occupying a fairly unique space. But these, make sure you pick two attributes that matters to your business strategy. So let's first look at the SWOT diagram for the retail competition to Taste of Taiwan. As you can see, one of the attributes we find is that their selection is actually very limited. The selection of the retail store are limited to staple food with fairly old brand, and they're very, very all of them are based on very specific type of snack, which is very sugary. None of them use fresh ingredients, simply because based on our understanding of the distribution model, they have to ship everything over by sea, which is a 30-day process going to Hong Kong. So they cannot ship perishable and fresh food. So that's one thing we noticed. And second, most of their product are designed to be giving away as gift. They're really not designed to be snacks. So they're food gifts. So that's another attribute we observed. Lastly, a lot of the packaging are not very attractive, even for gift, which is, we felt that was a strange setup, because these stores are just retail stores. They don't have control over their packaging. So we have summarized that these are gifts. They're mostly processed food, heavily processed, and they're really not attractive. So these are the three attributes we feel we might be able to exploit. Okay, so when we come to our positioning, we want to position ourselves to be a personalized snack. So this is snack meant to be consumed, and we want fairly fresh snacks. So we have leaned heavily towards bakery goods. A lot of Taiwan bakery will make their own packaged bakery good. That's probably good for a week. So, and given the meal time between Taiwan and Singapore, this is where we feel we are going to position as a fresh snack club. So this, you see how by analyzing the existing competition, we have discovered attributes that makes it very difficult for the competition to overtake. And this gives us a novel value, a new value proposition to consumer now. But here's the thing, once you have a new position, you gotta go and visit consumer and validate, make sure your proposition solves the problem. Either you go to your existing people you have already interviewed, or you gotta go find new people. Because you gotta find out if this is right for the right type of consumer. So now we know we're solving the right problem and we have the right passion for it. The last question we had to ask, do we have the right team? This is an interesting question. A lot of time people think, well, we need to have a programmer because we're doing a technical project. That's true and untrue at the same time. You have to evaluate what is the critical knowledge you need for your business. If you are building an e-commerce website, like Amazon, which is very analytically driven, you may need someone who has a strong analytical power. But if you're creating a simple website doing commerce using existing platform, the critical knowledge may not be programming. It may be consumer behavior. So we have to ask ourselves honestly, are we the right people to solve this? If not, can we get the right people on board? And this goes a long way when you pitch at the contest. Judges will be looking at your plan and they're saying, okay, if we give this plan to this group of people, what are they going to do? Are they the right people to solve this problem? So we must answer that. Let me give you an example. The Taste of Taiwan example we'll be using throughout this course is a website that sells Taiwanese snack to Singaporean Chinese, or in other words, We let Singaporean consumers subscribe to a monthly snack experience. Some of the things immediately come to mind. You would think, well, we need somebody with a Singaporean retail experience. We need online merchandising experience. We need shipping experience. We need somebody who have a deep understanding of Singaporean culture. Those are all wonderful things to have, but we have to evaluate whether or not we really need them. Let's take shipping experience. The model we set up was door to door, so we relied on postal service. That's basically making sure the address was correct. That was very simple. So we didn't need any experienced shipper, logistic company dealing with that. The cheap postal service Taiwan has allowed us to skip a experienced shipper. Singaporean retail experience wasn't really necessary because we were not a retail operation. But we did spend extensive amount of time observing how Singaporean Chinese went about purchasing Taiwanese snack in Singapore, and we understand the impulse trigger, the kind of flavor they like. It would have been useful if we had a expert retailer on our team, but that was a gap we could very easily acquire because the knowledge is not extensive. What we really wanted was an online merchandiser, and that was an experience we tried to recruit for because we feel the ability to use website to convert people, especially for a high experiential product like a snack, was very critical. So we consciously tried to look for an online merchandiser. So when we look at the team, we had an experienced online merchandiser. We do not have a Singaporean retail expert, but we compensated that for having a lot of domain knowledge about how Singaporeans shop. We didn't have an experienced shipper because we had outsourced that critical need to the post office. So look at the problem you're trying to solve and the scope of it. Are you the right person? If not, what is your dream team? What dream team do you need to assemble to make this come true? The right team with the right passion to solve the right problem is a very powerful formula for you to gain advanced placement in the business plan contest. And that's what you need to do in all enterprises. Single person creating an empire out of nothing, I think it's going to be very difficult unless you are a visionary, a genius, or you have amazing resources at your disposal. I know there are a lot of individual teams in the business plan contest right now. That's okay. What I would encourage you is to seek out the right people to join your team to offer better perspective, smarter feedback, and to assemble a credible team to present, because you do not want to have a wonderful plan, a critical problem to solve, but fail because people don't believe you and you alone can solve this problem. Form your A team and you will get the benefit of the teamwork, the experience, the domain knowledge, and mostly companionship. It's very difficult to go through a long planning process on your own, and the skill set of the future is about getting work done through people, not just with people. Good luck.